What is a loop? Loop. A loop lets you repeat a block of code over and over again, or however many times you want. Let's take a look and see how we do that. That's for efficiency, so that we can make 100 monsters. We start with the keyword for, and then we have looping conditions, starting conditions, the conditions for looping, and what we do each time we loop. So then we follow that with the block of code. So that's the block of code that we do each time we loop. Now this outer structure is fairly familiar. We did the same thing with the function literal. We had that like so. And we did the same thing with a conditional. So if what's in the round brackets is true, do the block of code. So function with parameters, do the block of code. If what's in here is true, do the block of code. For however many times we're looping there, do the block of code. Now, here's the block of code, and that can be as much as we want. So within the round bracket, so a little bit complicated, it's three things that we do. We start off with an initial condition statement. So for var I equals 0, so we're starting with a counter in iterator I, and we're starting with that being 0. We call it I for iterator. It can be anything though. We can also start at any number, but we're just starting our loop at 0 this time. So for var I equals 0, keep on looping as long as I is, say, less than 10. So that is the condition for looping. And then what we do each time the loop finishes, or each time it's looped. So that is I plus plus. So every time it loops, we increase I by 1. We could also, if we wanted to, increase I plus equals 2 by 2. Oh, that's plus equals 2. So there we are increasing by 2. We could also say decrease I minus minus. We'll take a look at that after. But for now, let's I plus plus. We'll increase our I each time we loop. All right, so in here, let's zog what I is. It should start with 0. So I starts at 0, so we should start at 0. It keeps on looping as long as I is less than 10. So it'll loop all the way up to 9. And then we're increasing our I each time. So we save that. Let's try it in a browser. And show the console. And there is 0 to 9. Woohoo! There's our loop. And this is quite fast, so let's try looping up to 100. Check it out. You ready? Boom! Wow, up to 99. And started at 0. Great. All right, we could loop, let's say, start at 5, for instance. 5, and go to a loop as long as I is less than or equal to 10 this time. So we're going to include 10. And we save this up and take a look. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. We can go back down, so minus minus there, but we would want to start at 10 then, so our initial starting is 10. We keep on looping as long as I is greater than or equal to 0, so we switch that around, and we're going to zog I. Refresh. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Great. Now, let's go back. There we go. So we're starting at 0 and going to 9. And we're zogging. Now, what we can do, some special things here. We could say if I is greater than 5, then we are going to break. Okay, so we can break out of the loop if we want to. And what that means is just exit the loop. So if I is greater than 5, we're going to break out of the loop. So it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be fine. It will still zog, but when I becomes 6, 6 is greater than 5, and it will break. It won't zog 6 or any more numbers after that. So we save that, refresh here, refresh, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it doesn't zog 6 because 6 is greater than 5 and it broke out of the loop. We can also continue. So say if I is double equal to 5, so when it's 5, we will continue. What continue does is it just goes to the next step in the loop. It leaves the loop and goes to the next step. So when it's 5, it will not zog I because it goes to 6. So we save that and refresh here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, no 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it skips doing that because we've continued. Cool. There's also loops within loops, so we could go for var j. We have to switch up the iterator name equals 0 to, or keep on looping as long as j, not I, j is less than, say, 20, semicolon, j, not I, plus plus. And that gives us an inner loop. So if we take that, we would have both I and j. We could zog I, comma j. And we would get something that looks kind of fun. Lots of them. 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, up to 5, 0, 6, 0, 7. So that's good. The zeros go all the way up to 19, or the 19, but this ending one will only go, oh, it missed 5. There's the 4s, there's the 6s. Yeah, so this is good for rows and columns. Okay, and that gives you access to rows and columns. You can position things in tiles, for instance. All right, there's also a couple other types of loops along the same line. Well, it's a for loop still, but for var prop in object, obj, do this stuff. So what this is if you have an object with a bunch of properties, you can loop through the properties with the for in. So for var prop, or if you want var p in obj, you would then, inside the loop, the p would be the property name of that we're currently on. So you could access the value of that property by asking for the object at that property name. Okay, and I would get the value each time of the property that we're currently on in the loop. So that's that one. There's also a while loop. While some condition a is less than 10, do what's in the loop. So that looks nice and simple, but you kind of have to add other stuff. So we would have to say var a starts off at 0, for instance. And then in the loop, that would loop forever, because if we don't do anything, this while loop would go forever, and that would bog our computer. It would eventually say, this script is taking too long. Do you want to cancel? But if we increased a plus plus at the end of the loop there, or at the end of the block, then eventually a would become bigger than 10, and the while loop would exit. So this is really doing the same thing as this loop is doing in here. Okay, but you can use while loops for different types of things too. Say you had a list of names and you wanted to loop while the names don't start with a T or something, and so that would loop all the way up until the names start with T, and then when that's false, like when that's true in there, the name starts with T, it would, oh, I guess you would be using a not in here, yeah, so as soon as that's well, as soon as it hits T, you could exit out, because as soon as that's false, something's false, then you can exit. Right, it would be the old double negative move. Okay, so those are the different types of loops. I showed you those quickly. Those are a little bit maybe more advanced, but same with the loop within the loop. But the nice easy one here, where we're just saying, hey, start at 0, keep on looping as long as you're less than 10, increase your I each time. That gives us an I. It's also good for looping through an array. You'll see that arrays have index numbers that start with 0. That's why often we're starting at 0 in our loop, and we can just loop through the length of the array. That's very handy, especially making hundreds of monsters. Woohoo! Yes, monsters. So that is a loopy here at zimjs.com. Have a great day.